Today I'm going to show you how to install a mod that I took from an old Gibson circuit design, but I've added a twist to make it a lot more versatile and a lot more usable. It's a really easy mod to install and it's really cheap as well. Now in the 70s, Gibson released a guitar called the L6S and it had a few famous endorsees like Carlos Santana and LD Miola and others as well. I was checking out the schematic for that, or the wiring diagram, and I noticed that it had a really interesting switching arrangement. It's got a chicken head knob on the outside, and that's actually a 6-way switch giving 6 different pickup configurations. Now, one of those I thought would be a really cool mod to try. Power onset of pickups in series is a pretty common mod for a Telecaster. It gives a decent amount of boost and it thickens up the tone. Now, with guitars that use 2 humbuckers, it's not something that's that common because it can just be super muddy and not a really pleasant tone, I suppose, for most people. So I've tweaked the recipe to make it a lot more usable by adding some simple filters. And I also wanted to make it switchable so you could turn it on and off. By the way, guys, please don't skip any of this video because there's lots of little bits of information sort of scattered throughout, and it might be confusing if you skip to another section without seeing the section before. So if you can, just sit back, relax, and just watch this whole video if you really want to install this mod in your guitar. So I'm going to explain this in a real conceptual sort of way. I just find it a lot easier to understand and a lot easier to visualize, and it's pretty much how I think about things nowadays anyway. So if we draw our pickups here, you can tell these are really high-end pickups. Okay, so this is our neck and our bridge pickup down here. With a 2-conductor pickup, you're going to have 2 wires coming off each pickup. You're going to have one that goes to ground and one hot wire that goes to, let's just say this is a switch, fancy sort of switch here, like a 3-way switch. And that's going to go out to the a volume pot or to the output, depending on what type of guitar you have. So that's kind of a normal arrangement of pickups. So when the switch is in the middle position, these 2 pickups here are in parallel. The way to think about that is both signals have been mixed together coming out this output. So they're both working at the same time, but the signals have been sort of joined together by the switch and they're flowing out to that next part of the circuit, whether that's a volume or the output. Now, when we run them in series, essentially what's happening is, just say we've got this one going to the switch, this is say our neck, and then that's going out to the volume control again or wherever, and the bridge one's going to its lug on that switch, and the bridge one's going to ground, but this time the ground wire on this pickup, instead of going to ground, is going to join on to the hot wire of this bridge pickup. So this is possible with 4-conductor pickups because you can separate all the wires. You can't really do this with a 2-conductor pickup. It doesn't work particularly well. So if you've got a 4-conductor pickup, you'll have 5 wires. And what that does essentially is it runs your pickups in series. So it kind of makes one ginormous pickup, kind of like a humbucker with 4 coils. So just say this is that's our hot wire there, and this is that one's going to ground, and then that is literally connected like this. So if you can imagine the signal output from something like this is going to be a lot higher. The frequency curve's probably going to be, it's definitely a lot more bassy. You're going to notice a lot more muddiness. So that's why I thought if we add a filter to the end of this circuit, we can kind of shape it and see what happens. And I was really surprised with how good you can get it to sound. What we're going to be doing is we add a little filter right here in this section here. This section, before it gets to the switch, we're going to add a simple little filter in there. That filter is going to carve the EQ curve to make it a lot more usable and just give you a lot more options depending on which filter you use, because we have got quite a lot of horsepower here to play with. So instead of just leaving it in its stock format, which many do find to be a little bit too muddy, we can change that and reshape that signal into something that's going to work for you. So anyway, let's move on to this next bit of what you're going to need to make this mod happen. Right, what are we going to need? So just so you know, I do have 2 wiring diagrams available along with some bonus filter combinations that I like. So stay tuned, I'll definitely demo those later on so you can have a listen to those. Now you don't actually need these wiring diagrams. I'm going to show you how to do all this and install it in your guitar. But if you're like me and prefer to work with a wiring diagram, they're there. Or if you just want to support the channel, but the best way to support the channel is to like and subscribe these videos. It just really helps get these videos out to more people, which would be fantastic. So what we're going to need for this mod is pretty basic. We just need a push-pull pot, some solder obviously, and some wire, and that's pretty much it. Oh yes, and the filter. We're using a 5.6 nanofarad capacitor, and that's it. I tried all these fancy filters, and in the end just a straight up capacitor in series worked the best. So this particular filter gives a sort of a super rich and creamy boosted tone that I really like. So you may have to do a bit of tweaking depending on the pickups you have, but the experimentation part, for me anyway, is the most fun part of this whole process. So definitely get in there, try a whole bunch of different caps and see what you like, but 5.6 nanofarad is really good for a sort of boosted creamy tone. Okay, so we're going to use this push-pull pot. Now what we're going to do is we need to first install the capacitor. So we're going to put this on this side on these outer lugs here. Okay, cool. So next we need to ground this lug here, this top left one. So for this, I'm just going to use a small piece of wire that I cut from a resistor, just a small cut off. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder this just to the body of the pot, because that's going to be grounded. Okay, so this is a good point where we can break it down and just sort of go through the wiring on the switch. So this top left lug here, this one is obviously the ground we were just talking about. I have soldered it to the body of the pot, so that's the body's going to be grounded. The next lug down on that same side, that is the ground connection from the neck pickup. So if you've got a 4-conductor pickup, you're going to have 5 wires. So you're going to have a hot wire, you're going to have 2 wires joined together, and then you're going to have 2 wires going to ground. One of those is going to be insulated. So you need to remove that one from ground, and it's going to be soldered here. This next one down, this bottom one, you're going to need to attach a wire to that, and that joins the hot wire of the bridge pickup, wherever that may be. So that could be connected to a pot, or it could be connected to a switch. If we go across to the other side now, the top lug on the opposite side of the switch, we've obviously connected a capacitor to that as well, but there needs to be a wire coming off that top lug, and that's going to be going to either the switch or the volume pot for that pickup. The next lug down, that center lug, that's going to be the hot wire from the neck pickup. So the hot wire that would normally be connected to a volume pot or a switch, that's going to be now connected to that lug. And then we don't do anything with that next lug down. That bottom lug just stays as it is connected to the other side of that capacitor. So that's essentially how the switch is wired. And you can wire any switch in this way, any double pole, double throw switch. Now the pot on the bottom obviously just gets wired up like normal. So you've got your ground lug, you've got your input lug and your output lug. So I'm going to install this inside my guitar, then we're going to run through some sounds, and then I'll also show you those other filters that are available on that schematic on our website as well. Okay, so the switching arrangement on this is pretty typical. So I've got a 3-way switch. Now this is my push-pull here. Now, when you're in the neck position, if you pull, it engages the mod. Now the pickups are in series. In the middle position, it's just bridge pickup, and in the bridge position, it's just like the usual bridge pickup. But when you push it in, you've got your normal 3-way switch. So it's quite handy, and I just love having secret little mods inside my guitars that people don't know about, like that are hidden away. So here's the neck pickup, and here's with the mod engaged. So straight away you can hear that boost and that extra power that's in there. So yeah, really cool, really thick, meaty, sort of creamy tone. I really like it, and it works well even under quite a lot of gain saturation. This next one is on the schematic on our site, and it gives like a thick single coil, quacky single coil sound. So if I have this in, this is the neck pickup sound. And this is the modded sound. Okay, so this one's listed down as the alternate neck tone. So, and with nice, so obviously I liked it. Okay, so that is the neck sound. This is the modded sound. Sounds cool. It's just a different sort of neck tone. Now this one is like a fat boosted sound. It's actually pretty close to the stock sound without any filters, but it's still shaving out enough that low end, I think, to make it usable. So quite a lot of extra push. Really cool, thick, sort of creamy as. This last one's just the stock L6S mod, just 2 pickups in series. It actually sounds pretty cool. Make sure you have a crack at installing this in your guitar. It's a really fun mod, it's really cheap. It can give you a lot of different tonal variations, and you get a lot of control over the sound because you can sort of choose what you want by using those filters. Now you could use EQs or boost pedals to get similar sort of results, but they can never exactly replicate the complex relationship of 2 pickups in series like this. You just can't do that with external things. Plus, as I said before, I just love having hidden little mods inside my guitar that I can engage whenever I want. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Please like and subscribe to this video if you got something out of it, and we'll catch you next time.